get this verse. Like, the Lord will always guide you. The Lord will guide you always, just period, right? Like, there's no question about what's going to happen when I'm looking forward into my life. So after he highlighted the verse for me, I started to notice how often I was in a state of indecision, stressing about not knowing what to do. And I would come to the Lord saying, I don't know what to do. And that verse is always what would come to mind. The Lord will guide you always. So as I wrestled with that, I said to the Lord, okay, I believe you when you say you'll always guide me. I think this is going to be a common thought about that topic. But what if I can't be led by you because of my own fear or sinful attitudes, or I just miss your directions? And I felt his response back in my heart was so clear. Then I wouldn't be a very good guide. So inherent in the promise that God will always guide me is that I will always be led by him. Not because I'm good at being led, but because he's a good guide. He'll make sure I can hear and understand his directions and that I can follow whatever it takes. And all I need to do is trust that he'll guide me. So I'm going to share how that's played out recently in my life. Part of my story is that before I had kids, I was a high school math teacher for 4 years. But then for 14 years, I've been a stay-at-home mom. And that season was a gift. It was a dream of mine to stay home with my kids before they started school. But once they all started school, which was 5 years ago now, I began to be plagued by these questions. What job can I do that fits with my family's schedule? And then a bigger, more heavy question was, what should I do with my life? It was like this heavy weight pressing down on me that I honestly thought about all the time. And anytime I brought my questions to the Lord, he'd answer the same. The Lord will guide you always. And years went by, and things happened in my life that prevented me from working, and it just never felt like the right timing or that the Lord was moving me into any job. So honestly, he was speaking to me that he would guide me always. And most of the time I was trying to trust him, but also stressing about it and trying to figure it out myself, all the time. This was like a constant thing weighing on my heart. So then I'm going to bring us up to this past September. I came across a Facebook ad for a copywriting course. My family's laughing at me. I have an interest in writing, and I thought I'd love working from home on my own schedule. So I watched the free master class. You know how these things are on Facebook. And by the end of the video, I felt pretty sure that I wanted to learn how to do copywriting so I could make good money working from home, writing for businesses. And I used to go around telling the girls, I'm going to be a 6-figure copywriter. You just wait and see. Now, the one glitch with this was that the hurdle I had to get over was the course cost $700. Now, at that time, we didn't have an extra $700 because I needed to work, remember? But I thought if I could just get started, I could start earning us some money. So I went to Dom, and I pitched all this to him. And he said, well, you'd have to find a way to earn that $700 first. Now, at the same time I was thinking about copywriting, I also had this thought sparking in my mind. You could go back to subbing. You could go back to subbing. It was like popping up in my brain, and which was strange because last time I had tried substitute teaching, when I was done, I said, I'm never doing that again. I just said, I'm never doing that again. So anyway, when Dom said I needed to earn the $700, I immediately said, yeah, I guess you're right. I think I could go back to subbing because it was it fit perfectly with the family schedule. It was you could get that job quickly because they don't even really interview; they just put you in there. So I thought this is gonna be a real quick way to earn that $700 for my copywriting course. So literally that night, I made this decision to start subbing again. At the same time, there was a preschool aide at the school who had to leave on medical leave, and they needed a consistent sub for that position. That excited me. I quickly agreed to do it. So then within just a few days of subbing, this is the thing, once I got into the classroom, it felt like the Lord was filling something in my heart that I didn't even know was missing. It felt so good to be out working with people again. I quickly realized that I did not want to work from home. copywriting for businesses. I needed to be out with people. And not only that, I remembered how much I loved being around kids and being in the school. Of course, subbing's not an easy job, so I had my hard days for sure, and some of you have heard me probably complaining a little bit. But it felt like the Lord was giving me something that I didn't even know I needed, like filling a hole that I didn't even know was empty, being back working with kids in the school. It was just it's been so good for me. So I subbed primarily in the preschool classroom for about 7 weeks. Sorry, I feel like I'm getting long-winded trying to go through this quick. So I was in that preschool room for about 7 weeks. I fell in love with the kids and the age group. And then the regular aide came back because the Lord healed her in response to our prayers that we'd been praying. So that was awesome. But I had to go back to regular subbing, which is just like anywhere in the school. And at that time, it was like these questions of unrest started coming up again that were like, what am I going to do long term? This is too inconsistent. Okay, so now what am I going to do with my life? Who am I? Like all these heavy questions. And then one day, and this is how the Lord works for me, and maybe you can relate. It was just a few weeks ago, actually. I was visiting my grandmother in the nursing home where she lives, and I was looking at the elderly people there, and I thought, when I'm at the end of my life like this, what do I want to be able to say about my life? Because I was wrestling with things like, should I go back to school? Should I... is there some career I'm supposed to do? And I need to start planning now. Well, how would I pay for that? I mean, just all these questions. And I came to this decision when I was like pondering, well, what about when my grandmother's 87 in a nursing home? Like, what do I want to be able to say about how I lived my life? And I came to this decision, which was really freeing to me, that at the end of my life, I want to be able to say two things: that I loved God and I served people. So really, for me, achieving some dream or having some career won't be important if I can say that I loved God and served people every day of my life. So if that's the goal, then I can relax and be satisfied with every day if I did those two things. And that might look like subbing at the school, or it might look like doing laundry for my family, or helping my sister who has special needs, or just even praying for someone, because sometimes, you don't feel that great. You're sitting at home and you don't feel well. Well, your life still has purpose if you can serve someone with a prayer, So I had this shift in focus that I would fix my heart to love God and serve people and leave the details of how that would happen up to him. And it literally, he freed me. I stopped asking that question of what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it just has felt like such a relief. Like, it's been so, so good. So then, I saw a post from a local private preschool where my girls went. And this school has it was a post saying that they were hiring 2 teachers for next school year. And a lot of things about this seemed like a perfect job opportunity. The school and the schedule and the fact that it was preschool and all these things. So I called one of the current teachers that I knew, and I asked her a few more questions. During that conversation, she told me that she had called one of the former teachers who used to teach at the school when my girls were there, and said, is there anybody you might recommend for this, for these positions? And she said my name, which totally blew me away. I mean, it was like total surprise. But it felt like the Lord was leading me to apply. So I eagerly applied. I was pretty excited about it, but I was also at that point like surrendering it to the Lord, like wherever you want me to go serve you, I'll go. And I'll be happy if I get it, but if not, like the Lord has something else. So they gave me an interview. They told me they had 5 applicants for 2 positions. And remember that my teaching experience was high school. That's what I had taught. And my experience in preschool was 7 weeks as a sub aide. So I didn't really, I felt like the interview went well, but I didn't feel like I had a lot going for me, like on paper. So I didn't really know, but total shock to me. They called me that night and offered me the job. They said this was funny to me. They were impressed with my interview and my experience. I was like, okay. They didn't even call my references. It just felt like a total miracle. And then to add to that, the other teacher that they hired simultaneously, who I have to work closely with, is a friend I know from Bible study back in the day. And so it just seemed like all these things came together. I happily accepted the job. That's what I'm doing next year. The Lord has provided a job that feels like a perfect fit. Just it's preschool age, half-day schedule, consistent hours, good pay for what it is. And it's working with someone I like and serving kids and families. It's just a total blessing. I'm so thrilled. And to sum up what the Lord was doing, when I look back, I can see how he was guiding me through that, right? I didn't stress or work to make anything happen. I was simply asking him for a job that worked with my family schedule. He moved my heart to go into subbing. I mean, this was through a copywriting course ad. He gave me 7 weeks experience in a public preschool, and then he opened the position at the other preschool at the right time. He gave me that job when I felt like I lacked the qualifications, and then he gave me a friend for a co-teacher. He just made everything happen like it felt like a miraculous domino effect. So I explain it. And I keep thinking of that verse, the Lord will guide you always. Yes, I see how he can do that. On my end, it didn't require any striving, stressing, or figuring it out. He just led me and did it. The truth is, for years, I stressed about it. Years. When I didn't need to. Because when the timing was right, he just did it, and there was no way I was missing it. And I see how he knows my dreams better than I know them, because I wouldn't have picked that I was like going to be a copywriter, right? So there it is. What can I say? He's a really good guide.